Hey, beautiful souls. Today we're gonna talk about the seventh house. Yeah, it's been a minute, but y'all, I do this in addition to having a regular engineering job, which I love as well. But this is not my full-time job. It's more like a thing that I just enjoy to do on my free time. That's something that y'all are gonna have to bear with me, try to understand with regards to making these videos. Astrology is something that I genuinely enjoy talking about. I mean, I can talk about it all day. Uh, and who's to say what we should love and what we shouldn't love? I hope this year has been going good for you. Yeah, so we are on the seventh house. And if you don't know me, my name is Ria and I just love astrology. Let's talk about the seventh house. So the seventh house in astrology is my favorite house and my not so favorite house because it's a house where you've got way less control over. This is the house of the other. It's the opposite of the first house, which is you. This is the house of partnerships, all forms of partnerships, like marriage, business contracts, every form of relationship that you have with other people. That's all you can see in the seventh house. So how I like to see the seventh house is it's a mirror, right? It's a house that literally reflects back to you what you see in others, what you think you see in others, but it's actually what's in you. So I'm gonna get into that as we go on. So the seventh house is about intimacy, it's about relationships, it's about partnerships of all kinds. That it's like a graduation. So that's why they say the seventh house is like a higher status in life, because it's like going from the fifth house, which is the house of romance, joy, fun, true love and all of that, and then taking it next level into the house of marriage, right? And you don't always have to go from the fifth house to the seventh house. In the seventh house, it's less about love. In the fifth house, it's that love, it's that connection, it's that feeling, it's that high that you get when you merge with others and when you do things that you love. It's that dopamine feeling in the fifth house. In the seventh house, it's like reality check. It's like real life shit that you're gonna be dealing with. It's like when you in the fifth house, you don't have a life together. You're not sharing bills together. You don't have a pet to take care of together. You don't have kids to look after together. You don't have contracts. You don't have dealings. You don't have shared resources. In the seventh house, you start to acquire those things. And that's where shit gets real. So personally, I like to say that everyone needs to understand their seventh house before actually getting into any form of partnerships with the other. If you haven't done shadow work, if you don't really understand what your seventh house requires of you, what your seventh house is projecting, you might end up attracting what you did not bargain for in the first place. It's a very important house. I mean, from the first to the sixth house, it's all about you, right? It's you, it's your parents, it's your siblings, it's you. You were born into that. You're just gonna have to, navigate and just, survive. But when you move into the seventh house, you're making a choice, right? And you're gonna be the one who's gonna, live with the consequences of that choice. And it's not an easy choice, all right? It's not as easy as it sounds. Because the seventh house, you literally do not have so much control over. You can't control people. So it could go anyway. You could think a person is like this and they turn out to not be like that. You have no control over that. And that's the seventh house. So it's important for you to understand what's in your seventh house. It's important to also make sure that you are attracting a person who's got you as the portrait of their seventh house, right? So for example, because everything that happens in the seventh house ricochets back to you. If you've got Mars, for example, in your seventh house, you would be looking to be in a partnership with a person that's got the Martian attributes. Mars rules Aries. as well as Scorpio. It used to be the traditional ruler for Scorpio before Pluto was discovered. So you need someone who is going to bring activity into your life. You're not looking for a chilled, mellow, sensual kind of relationship. You need a relationship. You need a partner who's going to, be active with you. You need someone who's going to always motivate you. You need someone who wants to go on a hike with you, someone who wants to work out with you, someone who's got a high sex drive. You need those things. Someone who's going to let you be independent, because Aries is the sign of independence as well. Someone who's not going to be all, someone who's just going to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that, like not too attached, but then, there's a chemistry and all of that going on. So if you haven't done shadow work, you do not understand the spectrum, because every planet and sign have got a spectrum, right? They all have the lower manifestations and the higher manifestations of them. In a normal world, you assume that everyone's on like the highest spectrum of things, and then, everything's just going to be nice. And this person who's got this Martian qualities that you're looking to attract is just going to give you that, and that's it, right? But if you do not understand that the spectrum runs from high to low, which is like a higher vibration and a lower vibration of that, you could end up attracting someone who's very controlling, someone who's very bossy, And the reason why this would happen to you is because you haven't developed your own Martian qualities by yourself. Like I said earlier, the seventh house is a mirror. The truth is, those things that you see in the person that you're attracted to, that you want so bad, you can only see them because you have them in you. Like, let that sink in. You have that within you, but you just cannot see it. And that's why when you get married to a person, after a while, you start to hear people say things like, you both look alike. You guys are the same person. You're very similar. You do things alike, you have the same goals, you have the same drive, you have the same blah, blah, blah. It's because over time, that person's been able to bring out that quality or that part of you that was dormant, unconscious. If you don't have it, it's never going to come out. If you think you're now starting to have similar traits with a partner, and you're thinking those traits just manifested from nowhere, or they put that into you, that's impossible. They only brought out that side of you. It's always been inside of you. Do you understand it? Like, you have always had that drive. You have always had that ambition. You have always had it. They just activated it. They just made it move from the subconscious into the conscious part of you, which is why we need the other. And that is on a very healthy scale. So if you're not aware that you had it in you before, they could come into your life and, become your worst enemy. And that's why also the seventh house is the house of open enemies. It's not hidden. It's your opponents. That person who ends up being your worst enemy. Yeah, that's the seventh house. Say, for example, still talking about Mars, and you end up attracting someone who's got those Martian qualities, and they bring that into your seventh house, and you are liking that initially, but then over time, they start to be more aggressive. They start to do violent things that you did not bargain for, or they start to be so ambitious that they neglect the duties of the contract or the relationship that you've got, the commitment, and then you start to want to run away from them and go find your independence somewhere else. Because remember, Mars Aries, that's like you wanting a little bit of this, but you also wanting independence. Not as much as Uranus kind of independence, but because Uranus is just pure freedom. You don't want to be tied down, right? But for Mars, you want this relationship with someone, but you also want your level of independence. But if that person is still like is if that person is manifesting like in the lower vibration of Mars, they could be very violent, they could be very restricting, and then they become your worst enemy. So this is how the seventh house problems, can go 0 to 100 real quick. So it's important for you to understand your seventh house and try to work on manifesting to a certain level those qualities that you want to see or that you want to be partnered with, and that would make it easier for you. If you have Venus in your seventh house or you're ruled by Taurus, what you're looking for is someone who's stable. Well, someone who's stable, who's grounded, right? Someone who's loyal, because Taurus is slow and steady, but built on like solid foundations. So that's what you're looking for in a partner. Someone who knows how to build something to last. Because that's Taurus, right? Someone who you can enjoy the pleasures of life, because that's Taurus and Venus. It's like a sensual relationship, not necessarily very sexual, just very sensual, good things, nice. Someone who can give you a nice home, a kind of home that you like, peace. That's what you're looking for. If you've got Taurus in your seventh house, you want peace, you want stability, you want, that gentle, sensual kind of relationship where you can enjoy the pleasures of life. Because Taurus has nothing to do with stress. Taurus has nothing to do with, chaos and all of that. But the lower octave of this is if you attract someone who's in the lower vibration of this, you could end up with someone who's possessive, someone who wants to own you again, because Taurus is possessions. So you could end up with someone who sees you as one of their possessions. They would provide that sensual, grounded relationship, but they're going to also probably be very territorial, someone who would not let you have friends, someone who probably would be upset if they see you speaking to someone else. There's that. So there's that element of you could attract someone who's very possessive, someone who's very controlling, someone who's like extremely jealous. And if you try to leave them, y'all could end up having like a very long divorce battle. Like these are the people that you hear are still like talking divorce shit for like 5-6 years. It's still ongoing because they're not gonna let you go easily. So it's good to understand these things, understand how it could play out for you depending on what you've got in your seventh house. Another thing that's very important to point out is, are you the portrait of your partner's seventh house? Because it could go both ways, You could attract the Taurus person, but that Taurus person's seventh house is probably something else. And if you are not that to them, they're not going to be in like the highest manifestation of this. So it's a very delicate and important area of life that needs so much, thoughts. I could talk about the seventh house forever. It's a lot that goes on in the seventh house. And, say you've got things all good in the seventh house, transit to your seventh house could affect your partner. So if in other houses, when you have transits, they're going to directly affect you. In the seventh house, it could be that there's a transit, maybe Jupiter transiting your seventh house could manifest as your partner getting a raise at work or a promotion at work. It's mostly promotions for seventh houses and not necessarily you, but it always ricochets back to you. So if your partner gets a raise at work, that's a good thing for you as well, but it's just not directly coming to you. So this is how, the seventh house works. If it could be Saturn transiting your seventh house and it doesn't directly affect you, but they start to have problems at work, or they start to have problems with their business partners, and they start to have problems, with people they have relationship with, and that ricochets back to you as well. So seventh house matters. It's a lot. Or for example, you've got Cancer ruling your seventh house, or you've got the moon in your seventh house. You are looking for someone who's going to be nurturing, someone who you can protect, someone who you can nurture, and vice versa, someone who can nurture you and protect you as well, right? But the lower octave of this could be you attracting someone who's like codependent. Like they just come to you and you give them advice, you give them nurturing, you give them, and then after a while you start to feel empty and burned out because it's not balanced. The seventh house is traditionally ruled by Libra. Libra rules the seventh house. Libra is all about balance. It's all about the scales balancing. If one side of the scale is heavier than the other side, there's an imbalance. So that's the seventh house, guys. Next, we're going to go into another of my favorite. That's the eighth house.